It's mid-November 1942. Joseph Stalin, the leader of the Soviet Union, is meeting with the three generals who are playing key roles in the battle for Stalingrad against Germany. The meeting is taking place in Stalin's personal offices in Stalingrad. The war is not going well for the Soviets at all. The Germans have already entered the city. Soviet losses have been tremendous. Stalin is extremely concerned.
So you can brief them on the military details of the war that have taken place up to the moment. General Zhukov has come up with a strategic plan of attack against the Germans, with General Vatutin helping in the field. Stalingrad is under siege and the situation is dire.
It is my honor to help with all of you, and I will do my best to brief you on the details of the war to date. I too am very concerned about what is happening in the city. It was in June of 1941 that Germany first invaded the Soviet Union. The German army moved rather quickly into the country. We were defeated on many occasions that summer and fall, but we stood firm at the entrance of Moscow. Winter had arrived. The Germans were tired, not prepared for winter battle, and short on supplies.
Did you think they would try to attack Moscow again after they reformed in spring?
Yes, we did. That is why we maintained a strong army in Moscow. However, the Germans made the decision not to attack the city again. I suppose they felt they were too weak after the first attempt. Instead, they decided to move their southern army into the southern Russian steppes, near the Stalingrad, where they took some of our important oil fields. This advance began early last summer. The Germans called it Operation Blue.
Not long after the advance into the south began, Hitler broke off his army into two forces. One continued to push into the steppes, and the other made its move towards Stalingrad. There are several reasons why Hitler wants to capture the city. First of all, the capture of Stalingrad would be a symbolic victory because it is named for me. Furthermore, Stalingrad is located on the Volga River, which is a good trade link between northern Russia and the Caspian Sea.
We prepared to protect the city at all costs. I took on command of the army to defend our great city. At the end of August, the Germans moved into the north of Stalingrad, as well as to the south of the city. Because the Germans were situated to the north and south of the city, it became difficult for us to bring in our supplies. Then we were hit with the massive German air attack that killed thousands of citizens and left much of the city in ruins. It was so bad that 80% of the city was destroyed. I had my army and my men move into houses and factories. It was here that we took up positions to defend the city to the best of our ability.
General Zhukov, you have fought and commanded admirably.
We are now well into November, but we continue the fight. We will never give up the battle for Stalingrad. Both sides have fought relentlessly. The battles have been ugly and the destruction has been tremendous. It has become very difficult to get our supplies into the city. When supply troops cross the Volga River, they are hit with German attack. The fight has become urban warfare. We battle for every house and factory. They are using heavy equipment. We are able to protect ourselves in the ruins, which in some cases are piled so high that the German tanks can't even get through.
What is your position at this moment?
I've ordered the troops that were protecting Moscow to move to the south of Stalingrad, and I have also ordered all of our airplanes to Stalingrad. We have been fighting for 3 months. My men and I are very exhausted. I am afraid that as much as 90% of the city has been captured, and we have been separated into two forces by the German advances. Communication has become difficult. Something must be done soon or we will lose the fight. I am very afraid for our city.
General Chekhov, you have fought honorably. I have asked General Zhukov and his assistant, General Vatutin, here to explain to you a plan that General Zhukov has come up with, that he believes will give us a chance against the German army. This plan has been given the name Operation Uranus. General, will you explain your plan to General Chekhov?
General Zhukov, I agree with the others that you and your men have fought honorably. We have noticed that Hitler and his army have moved most of their men into the city. This has left the army weak on the outside. The army's only protection on the outside or flanks comes from Romanian and Axis troops, power troops, that are not as well equipped as the Germans. I heard that one of Hitler's generals warned him to better protect the army's flanks, but he refused to listen to him. I believe that we can take advantage of this weakness and attack these Romanian and Axis power troops in the north and south, and then circle around the German inside Stalingrad. Once we have circled them, then we can move in on them and attack them. I have called this plan Operation Uranus. We will begin immediately. I have already ordered men to the north and south of the Romanian and Axis power troops, and I have placed General von Tutten in command of this operation.
General Zhukov, your plan sounds brilliant. I will support you in any way that I can.
It is mid-November, 1942, and the Soviets are putting Operation Uranus into action. General von Tutten has gathered up a considerable army and plans to attack the northern and southern flanks of the German army, which are being protected by Romanian and Axis power soldiers.
And we're going to attack the German northern flank, led by Romanian soldiers, and the German southern flank, led by Axis power soldiers. We have a considerable advantage over both sides, because we have more men and we have more equipment. When I give the word, prepare for battle and attack. Men, halt your attack. We have clearly defeated our enemies. Now that we have won the battle in the north and south, we can move in on the German army within the city of Stalingrad. The plan is to encircle the Germans, cut off their supplies, and attack them from the outside when they are weak. It is going to be very difficult for the Germans to keep supplies coming to their men. Because we will be surrounding the army, the only way they will be able to bring supplies is by the air. That will require too many planes for the amount of supplies they need. Airdrops will be especially tough when winter begins next month. Furthermore, we will fire on them with anti-aircraft fire.
General von Tutten calls on his men to surround the German army. The circle around the enemy is not broken. Winter has begun, and the Soviets are able to receive their supplies more easily because the Volga River has frozen over. The Germans, on the other hand, are quickly running out of supplies.
I order you to surround the German forces within the city of Stalingrad. We must fight until the end. Our future depends on it.
Surrounded us. We can't go on much longer without supplies. These supplies have to come in from the air because we're surrounded and the river is frozen. There are not enough planes for that. Those that do bring supplies are hit with anti-aircraft fire.
Enough guns and ammunition. We are frozen by the horrific winter and we are literally starving to death.
Hitler orders us not to surrender. We can't hold out much longer.
Men, you must fight on. We are close to victory. German army, do you wish to surrender?
We have reached our limits. We have no choice but to surrender. Do you accept our surrender?
Yes, we accept. Men, put down your arms. We are victorious.
Yay!
February 2, 1943 in Stalingrad. The war was over, but the casualties were tremendous on both sides. The Germans lost about 500,000 German and Axis soldiers, and the Soviets lost approximately 1 million soldiers. The Battle of Stalingrad was one of the bloodiest battles of all time, but the win did become the beginning of the liberation of the Soviet Union. In the 1960s, a very large Mother Russia statue was erected in Stalingrad as a memorial to the men who died for the city.